I've animated a walk cycle, a bouncing ball, a jump, and a run in 10 hours each. But now it's time for what I think will be the coolest one yet. A backflip. So yes, I'm going to animate a backflip in 10 seconds, 1 minute, 10 minutes, 1 hour, and finally 10 hours. Should be fun. Time for a 10-second animation. The plan here is to try and squeeze in 4 frames that look vaguely backflip-like. I'm gonna start with a crouch, end with a landing. That's the goal, I guess. So I guess 10 seconds starts now. Do a little crouch, come up like this, curl into a ball, go like this. I think I did that in time. I accidentally duplicated a frame. I'm gonna say we can remove that. Unless it looks good, then we'll keep it. All right, 10-second backflip. Okay. That's remotely backflip-esque. I'm gonna see it without the duplicated frame. Huh. That's about as good as you can expect from a 10-second backflip animation. Let's move on from that and do 1 minute. All right, 1 minute is gonna be pretty similar. Start with a crouch and with a landing. I'm gonna have him stand up this time and try to do more frames. So let's just give it a go, and 1 minute starts now. Doing the crouch. I should just not undo. That was a fine head. It's good enough. 1 line for the arm, torso, and legs. Now he's gonna be upside down-ish. He's gonna spin a little bit. I guess I'll have the head move up and then move down a little. I think his body's breaking on that pose, but it's fine. Now we're gonna have him land on this one, land in sort of a squat, and then he's gonna stand up. Oh God. Oh no. The last few frames were a bit horrible there, but we'll see if the whole thing looks like a backflip. I guess it does. Better than 10 seconds, I would say. Yeah, I mean, it looks alright if you don't analyze individual frames, like the last 2. We'll call that motion blur. That is a broken leg right there. Okay, that's satisfactory. Let's move on to the 10-minute animation. Whew, 10 minutes. This is gonna have to be a little better looking, I think. It's gonna be the more refined, thick-bodied, probably face-having version of the 1 minute backflip. Maybe start and end with a standing, ease into the crouch a little bit. 10 minutes begins now. Okay, I just have to draw a head, something like that. Doing a body that goes like that, and a little leg. That's a strange head, but that's okay. I'm gonna do the arms later. Shoe can stay in the same place. I'm gonna be sliding all over the place. So now the head's kind of throwing back as he leaps. I might do an in-between, but we'll see. Well, his legs won't be doing too much. His arm's gonna be throwing back, but I'm doing the arm later. Now we want the sort of almost upside down, maybe not quite horizontal. And then this one's a little more upside down. I'm gonna change that leg. It's gonna be more folded up like this. Now he's really upside down. It's okay if it looks rough and sketchy. That adds to it. Now he's got to start opening up a little bit. He's opening up physically, but not emotionally. And we can do a landing here. Start to stand up. And we'll loop back round to the standing frame. I should definitely draw some arms. So this one's just kind of flying backwards. This one is going to be reaching for the knee. It's actually completely should be bending. Just have this one kind of going straight. It's gonna start coming out like that. All right, 3 minutes left. That actually looks decent. We need an in-between between these two. So the arm is gonna swing forward and then backward very quickly. Let's do a face. Yeah, I like that. It's a good expression. I feel like I could improve this, but I don't have time. Let's add 1 frame on the crouch. No, I've got 3 seconds left. Okay. That's my 10-minute backflip. Here it is. So that's fairly okay. It's clearly a backflip. The arms are pretty insane looking in the first half, but aside from that, It's very solid. Actually, the head changes size quite a bit. It's huge on the first frame and then pretty small during the rotation. Oh well, still looks pretty good. Let's see what I can animate in 1 hour. My 1 hour backflip started in a similar fashion to the 10-minute version. I sketched a basic character in a standing position and worked my way through the whole flipping motion. This time though, I drew the arms as I went. As you can imagine, it was also a lot more fluid and lively this time. So I spent about 25 minutes on the sketch layer and thought that was good enough to start the line art. If you've seen some of my other videos in this series, you may be familiar with the Marshmallow Man. I basically just draw a humanoid blob because it takes too long to draw any sort of detail. Turned out to actually not take that long. Colouring is also very quick and easy, meaning I could have drawn clothes or something, but I wanted to make a background. So he's just standing on this field with some hills in the distance and a couple of trees. I was able to get some solid scenery done with some time to spare, so unlike my last two 1 hour animations, I added a face. A dot for an eye with a little shine and a smile is all you need. And here is my 1 hour animation of a backflip. As far as the animation itself goes, pretty silly, pretty choppy, but I like it. The only thing I don't like is the anticipation on the crouch and swing back, because there really is none. I don't know if I just didn't pick up on that when I was making it or didn't have time, but I really could have added a couple more frames in there. But yeah, I think this is a charming little character. A fun to watch loop. This is definitely the best background I've had for one of these 1 hour animations, which makes sense given how much time I spent on it. For this 10-hour backflip, I started off by designing the character. You can see I tried drawing a face, but then I decided it would just be like a ski mask instead, and then he's just wearing a t-shirt and trousers with gloves. Honestly, I'm not sure what the lore is there. It's all cold weather gear except the t-shirt. He might be a rubber, might explain the contraption later on. So, the general process here is the same as the 1 hour, same starting pose. It's just going to be more detailed and fluid. I want to really nail the timing and all the animation principles in general. The swing back before the flip is more than 1 frame, for example. So I spent a little over 2.5 hours on the rough animation before moving on to the line art. I'm animating all of this frame by frame except the head. It didn't need to change shape or have any moving parts, so there was really no need. Plus I wanted to be able to adjust the design of the head at any point. You can see a couple of smear frames when the arm swoops down, which kind of simulates a motion blur. Looks weird in isolation, but good in motion. I was working on the line art and colouring back and forth and left out the back arm at first. I also had to go back and tweak some stuff and add more frames, but I essentially had the backflip done with 5 hours left. For the background I went with a night scene on these cliffs. I don't do a lot of night stuff, so I thought that'd be interesting. I also had the idea from the start that he'd be dodging something with every flip. So I made this metal box that charges up and shoots a laser beam every 3 seconds. After yo-yoing between that and the backflip and the background for a while, I got to work on shading. I hadn't really attempted to animate lighting on a character frame by frame before, so it might not be the prettiest. But I had a simple approach of covering the whole thing in shadow and erasing the parts where the light should hit. The light source in this case is the moon, so it was mostly from above and a bit to the right. I'm using a duplicate of the backflip animation as a layer mask so that giant rectangle won't be visible. Now, since the laser is so powerful and bright, I animated sparks flying off the tree and some orange highlights on the bottom of the character. I gotta fill out the background of course, so why not go with the classic mountains and trees. As usual, I replaced the more in-focus elements with Photoshop art, so I spent an hour on the cliffs and tree and laser weapon. I also thought it'd be nice to draw a somewhat detailed moon and clouds. Once that's all done, I can drag them into Animate and add effects and move them around if need be. Yes, the program I use is called Adobe Animate, so if you're asking in the comments, it means you both didn't read the description and didn't watch this far. Which is fair enough, to be honest. Anyway, the last hour is pretty much making small adjustments and adding minor details before calling it done. Now that is what I call a 10-hour animation of a backflip, because objectively that's what it is. So general thoughts, I think this looks pretty good, pretty cool. It's a solid, convincing backflip. I suppose the main issues would be the way he springs back up from the landing it's kind of stiff and jarring. I guess I'd just make that more fluid. Also, I'd probably make the lighting on the character more of an overall rim lighting, because it's kind of right heavy. Because I mean, the moon's behind him from our perspective, not like to the right in front of him. Anyway, it doesn't look too bad. I think it in general looks nice, just not accurate. Yep, sweet little laser action. I like the contrast between all the darkness and blue and the bright orange and white laser. There's orange goggles or shades on his mask. Yeah, overall thoughts on this, I'm happy with it. It could always be better, but hey, I like what I've done with it. Well, there you go. That was me animating a backflip in 10 seconds all the way up to 10 hours. I hope you enjoyed it, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in another video. Goodbye.